Welcome back to another episode of Next Up with Nick Gismondi. I've been excited about this one since I found out that Vince was coming on the show. Let's welcome in Vince Van Patten. This guy's he's a renaissance man. I mean, I don't think there's anything that you haven't done. I thought I was pretty well versed, but actor, poker player, television host, and by the way, professional tennis player as well. Vince Van Patten, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in, Vince.
Nice to be here. Thanks, Nick. Pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Lots to talk about with you, and we're going to try to all condense it into a 15-minute time frame. But I want to start with the acting career. Obviously, you come from a very talented family. Your father, a fantastic actor, but you yourself got into it at a very young age. What was that experience like? Because sometimes it's hit or miss when people get into it at a very young age. You came out of it probably the best out of just about anybody out there. Was that experience? I mean, kind of sum that whole experience up for me when you first got started.
Yeah, well, Nick, I was a child actor, started at age 9, and had a good career. So I was a kid actor from 9 to 18 years old, and I was on the set my whole life. I hardly went to regular public school, and had a couple series. I was the Bionic Boy. I did a show called Apple's Way. I did 3 for the Road. So I worked all the time. I thought that was going to be my life, but then things fizzled. And when I'm about 18 years old, my career started going down, and I started playing a lot of tennis. And then I took a shot at the tennis tour, but that's a whole different story. But then I did go back to acting in my 30s and 40s. I'm still acting today in certain projects.
Yeah, you were you guest starred or co-starred in over 36 classic series. I was going through your IMDb, and I mean, there's some iconic ones on there that I'm especially jealous of. I mean, Gunsmoke, The $6 Million Man, Dirty Dozen. But the one I got to ask you about, I think you probably know where I'm going with this, but you had a bunch of episodes in Baywatch. You were in 6 or 7 episodes of Baywatch.
That's right. That's right. A lot of different shows like that. It's great. Listen, anytime you get work, and as an actor, you're lucky, and I loved it. And my father always said, look, if you want to do it, but just be professional about it. Learn to get there on time. Never let them wait. When that director calls you, you get over there and you listen to him closely, and you do exactly what he says. So my father was a great professional person, and he taught me those things. And that's helped me throughout my whole life and everything, I believe.
When you think about that experience that you did have as an actor on a bunch of different sets, a lot of different stars, your father obviously a star. Other than that advice for you, was there moments that stood out? I mean, when you think back now, what's the first kind of prominent memory that comes back from all of that? Maybe it was a fellow actor, maybe it was a director, maybe it was something that you learned on your own. But what was your biggest takeaway from your time, on screen in big series?
Yeah, my father always thought that a lot of people put down kid actors and stage mothers, so to speak, and fathers and all that. They say, oh, it's a terrible life. You can't do that. It's going to cripple a kid. It's awful to do. But my father didn't believe that. He had a great childhood as an actor, and we did too. Listen, it was a lot of fun, and the people treat you nicely, and you're doing a professional job, and you're meeting all kinds of interesting people. I mean, I worked with Betty Davis. She played my grandmother on one project, and just great experiences. I was in Spain for 3 months with John Sturges, the great director, and Charles Bronson, doing a Western where you had to ride horseback. I mean, as a 14, 15-year-old kid, that's exciting stuff. So it's a takeaway of, look, it's really good if you have the right parents and you have the right, don't let it get to your head. I think it can be a very good thing. But I do have a little bit of a beef where kid actors just don't make as much as much as adult actors, and no one ever brings that up. And I always say, you know what? Women want equal pay, and they should have equal pay, but so should child actors. I believe that. And
I also feel like the job of a child actor might be a little bit harder than the job of, an adult actor. You're dealing with different pressures. You're dealing with a lot of uncertainties. So not only are you having to learn lines and nuances and the business at a young age, but you're also trying to figure that out and operate in a predominantly adult world.
Yeah, it's a big sacrifice for a kid. Then you have to do your 3 hours of school tutoring on the set too. So there is a lot to it. And I just think they should get equal pay because child stars are just as in demand as certain adult stars. So that's one of the things I believe in. But it was a great career, but I moved on to tennis and then other things and poker. So life's been good. I've been very lucky.
Well, that's a nice segue for us. Let's talk about tennis for a little while. So you make that transition from acting into tennis, and you don't just decide to pick it up and be recreational about it. You decide to, become a professional at it. You're top 25 ATP player. How was that switch? What was that switch? What made that switch change over for you?
Well, first of all, I don't know how it happened because I wasn't even a ranked junior in Southern California. I was a hack, and no one expected me to do anything. I never made the nationals. I was okay as a junior, and I didn't get one word of encouragement in my tennis at all. No one ever said, "Hey, you're pretty good. You could do it." Not one word. Plus, I was self-taught. I taught myself. I hit on the stage walls when I wasn't in the shots. I hit against a backboard. I joined a club out here. My father put me in the LA Tennis Club, but the other kids were a little bit better maybe, and they wouldn't even play with me. So I couldn't even get a game. Tennis is very, very much like that. There's a pecking order. And so I think part of the reason why I broke through eventually is because so many people said, "You can't make it," and they kind of laugh at you. And I went, "Damn it, I'll prove them wrong." And you push that way. Plus, I got physically bigger when I was 17 or 18. I started lifting weights when no one was lifting weights. And I went, wow, this makes me play better. I feel better. And for some reason, I jumped from nowhere in the world to the top, 35 out the ATP Rookie of the Year and all that. It was a dream come true. I beat Johnny Mack a couple times, had a great life with it. And it was just a blessing. I mean, I just don't know how it really happened, but it was a lot of hard work, though, too.
Rookie of the Year in ’79. That had to have been, was that obviously, I mean, as a rookie, you kind of say, wow, okay, maybe this is what my next endeavor is supposed to be. Was it that moment that you knew that tennis was going to be a prominent thing, or was it maybe the lead up before that and the Rookie of the Year was just finally some validation for you being like, oh yeah, right, look at me. This is finally, I'm here.
Well, it's interesting because when you're ranked 400 in the world and you're playing satellites and you're getting beaten up every week and everybody's beating you and you just can't figure it out. And then all of a sudden I played the summer circuit, went out there one more time. I said, I want to play a few of these tournaments, had to qualify. And I went and I won 28 matches out of 30 in the period of 3 or 4 weeks. And all of a sudden my confidence just flew up. And then I played Cincinnati, Ohio, and I beat Tom Ocker, who was ranked 15 in the world at the time, Bob Lutz, who was ranked 10 in the world, Harold Solomon was ranked 3 in the world, and I take him to 3 sets in the semifinals of this tournament. All of a sudden I thought, I am this guy. I can do it. I could beat anybody. But it's believing in yourself. It's getting that confidence. And then it all just went really well. And so I believed after I beat Johnny Mack a couple of times that I was going to be #1 in the world. And I put everything into it. But I had a few injuries, and things just didn't turn out that way. I mean, there's only one #1. So, but I did believe that. And I believe after all of this that you can almost do anything in life if you work hard enough and you believe in yourself.
How was Johnny Mack? How did he take it when you beat him? When the young new guy comes in and just gets him a couple times? We've obviously all know about his legendary temper, if you will. But how was that interchange publicly and privately?
He's such a nice guy. He was a gentleman throughout the whole thing. He just, oh, nice shot, Vince. No, incorrect. He's a monster out there. He was as tough as they get. I love him. And he's New York. I'm a New Yorker originally, and he had that tough attitude, and he would take anything from you. So he was going nuts. Now, I did play him 5 times. He tagged me at the U.S. Open twice in the 3rd round. He got me good, but he hated when he got beat a couple times by me, and he'll do anything to win. He'll stall. He'll do anything. He'll throw those umpires off. So it is a true challenge, and I had to just zone him out completely, and that's why I got through it and won those 2 times.
In '81, you won the Seiko in Tokyo. You beat McEnroe en route to that, and 2 other top 10 pros. Correct?
Yeah, I beat Jose Luis Clerc, who was 4 in the world at the time, and Vitas Gerulaitis, who was 8 in the world at the time. And I was down. It was the 2nd round. I played Clerc. I was down match points. I was down 3 match points in the 2nd set. And it's like all over. And I went, okay. And I hit amazing shots. And all of a sudden I come back. I beat him. And I beat Vitas after being down 6-0, 3-0. I was down 6-0, 3-0 to Vitas. I came back and beat him. From that moment on, I went, this is my tournament. Give me Johnny Mack. I watched John Mack play Bill Stanley that night, and I studied everything about him, where he was serving at certain times. And I went, this is my time. I'm going to beat him. I'm taking note. So I took great notes, and I got him the next day.
It's amazing for me, getting to cover a lot of different sports. Hockey being, the main sport that I cover. Tennis I cover in the summer. Avid golfer. It's so impressive to me, especially in the sport of tennis, the mental and physical balance between the two. You've got to be strong in both of those and basically spot on. And that's a tough match to make on a consistent basis. Having that mental fortitude and that physical stamina to come through. And that's really the only way you can win in sports like tennis, golf, hockey, etc.
Yeah, they're doing it much better today. But when I was playing, I beat myself up so much. I overtrained. I pushed myself to the limit. I played 5 hours a day and then did wind sprints on the court. I did kangaroo jumps right after that. I beat up my body too much. I didn't have the proper coaching. At that point, I had a coach. He was a great guy. But he didn't say, pull back. Let's pull back 2 days before the tournament. Get your body rested. And I didn't know that. So I actually burned myself out. That was my mistake. But they do it today. Now they have their teams. They know exactly how to do it. They train in the off season so brilliantly. So they're in superior shape. And me, I was so sore after some of these matches. I couldn't get out of bed. You got to roll out of bed. I take 4 leaves every day, right out of bed. And then the day would start. And it would go on and on. So when I finally retired after all that, I didn't miss it for a second. My stomach was bad from all these leaves I was taking and coffee. I'd be drinking coffee to pep me up and everything. So my stomach was a mess. So what I'm trying to say is it's a tough sport. And if you're not all the time, it's good to get out of it.
In the 80s, you played World Team Tennis. And it's so impressive to me, the World Team Tennis format and the longevity that league has had. I mean, it's still going strong today under new leadership with Carlos Silva at the helm. It's taking even bigger strides now. But what was that like? You played 3 years, mostly on the California teams. You were with Orange County for a while. You were with the LA Strings. Tell me about World Team Tennis. Why did you love that part of your tennis career so much?
Well, it's in the summer. It's after the French Open. I got to come back to LA. I had my coach, Lorne Kuehl, in LA. He's an old buddy that was Riggs' best friend and Connor's good friend. A lot of indoor tournaments. I loved Indoor Supreme. It was cool in there. I love team tennis. I like it that they get a little more rambunctious than a normal tournament. I like that. In fact, when I was playing, I was trying to encourage them. I said, you know what, just tear the walls down here. You should even go for it more. I think people should be, it should be like a wrestling match. Now, Billie Jean didn't quite agree with that, so they pulled back, and I think it's somewhere in the middle. But it's still a great tone, and it's still a great event. And you're playing on a team, and there's a couple girls on the team and a couple guys that you know, and so there's a lot of camaraderie. So overall, it's a great experience playing team tennis.
Do you follow it still now? Do you get a chance to watch a ton last summer, last couple summers? Are you still kind of involved in watching tennis, or have you kind of segregated that now?
I love watching tennis. I watch the big event. I have not seen team tennis in a few years. Are they still playing with the court that's all the different colors? Because I like that. Maybe not.
They dialed that back, so just the blue court as of last year. So they got rid of the multicolored court, but some other pretty cool innovations and some really cool cities. Obviously, who knows what that's going to be like this year in terms of where they're going to play. But I think the exciting thing for me about World Team Tennis is what you touched on earlier. It's just a different atmosphere. You go there and you don't feel it's definitely a left turn from the atmosphere at Wimbledon and the atmosphere at the U.S. Open or the French Open, all of which you played at, by the way. But World Team Tennis seemed to me at least to be more of that exuberance, that fan interaction, that connectivity. You felt a little bit closer to the players and to the athletes. They felt more accessible to me.
Yeah, and it was because you're on a team, you're having fun with your teammates and all. I got a funny story. When I was playing for the Strings, my good buddy and doubles partner, Brad Gilbert, was playing for San Francisco, and they came down here. And because it wasn't as big of a thing, I took him over to my house. We had a party the night before, and I realized I had to play Brad the next day. Both of us number 1 players. I had to play Brad. So terrible thing I did, but I did. Let's drink some tequila, and I had the shots. And sure enough, I had to drink. He didn't drink much too. Brad didn't drink much, and I filled my shots with water. But I did. I was, oh, here goes another one, Brad. Shooting those down the shots, and he got a little messed up. And the next day, I tagged 6-1 in team tennis. There you go.
That's the definition of playing guilty. Guys say if they go out the night before a game or whatever, they're playing a little bit guilty. You were playing guilty for not going out, but going out.
I'll never forgive myself. However, we're still great buddies, and we played a lot of doubles together. And now I live in Malibu, and now Brad Gilbert's down here, so we're best friends again. And I tell him that story, and he still can't laugh about it. So there you go.
Did he know that day? Did he know that next day on the court? Was he just like, "How's this guy okay? I'm banged up, and this guy's killing me."
Never told him. Why tell him?
That's awesome.
Take your loss.
Let's transition to poker. Like I said, you're a Renaissance man. A little bit of everything. You learned to play poker when you were younger from your dad, and then you turned that into a profession as well. You've been in the money at the World Series of Poker, and now you're commentating on one of the biggest poker shows anywhere out there. It's pretty impressive, the success that you've had across 3-4 different careers. But tell me about the World Poker Tour. Tell me about the commentating there, and just tell me about your experience in the poker world. I mean, touch on the home game that you had going for 15 years too.
Yeah. So now I've been doing the World Poker Tour as the host and commentator for 19 years. Once you saw the cards, they came. It was a big thing, and so I've been enjoying that. And before that, I was always playing poker as a kid. I loved poker. And when I came back in my 30s from the tennis tour, by the way, I took the chips out there on the tennis tour and cards to try to get a game. Couldn't really get a game, poker game, so that was rare. But when I came back, I had a home game in LA, in the Valley, that grew to be one of the biggest games in LA. And we had fun. It was all the big movie stars were playing, and the games got bigger and bigger, and it got pretty scary. And that wasn't the fun part, was the poker more or less, but we would bet on crazy things. These guys are nuts. They made prop bets. And I made this ridiculous prop bet that I could walk from LA to Las Vegas in 7 days. And they all bet against me and went to see if I could do it. And so later on, just a few years back, I wrote a screenplay about that. Now, it's based on the truth of that prop bet, and it's called 7 Days to Vegas. You can see the poster behind me. We made the film. It's out on Amazon Prime right now and iTunes, and it had a short theatrical release, but well received. And there's a lot of antics. Some of it's fictionalized, but some of it's based on the true story. So that's my poker game, and I'm going back to season 19 on the World Poker Tour, and I love it. I've been very fortunate to get involved with things that I've done well. So very fortunate.
You've done everything well. You've also co-written a book too. So I mean, what's left? Is there anything left on the checklist for Vince Van Patten to accomplish in his life? I mean, you've done it all. Are we going to see you on the ballot? You going to run for president? Like, what's next for you, man?
God forbid. No, I'm just riding it out and just seeing what's next. We're going to try to make a series out of 7 Days to Vegas, which would be fun. And that's it. I'm always trying to stay creative and have a good time and not take life too seriously, not take myself too seriously, and just enjoying life right now.
Lastly, how you doing through all this? I mean, you good in the quarantine? I mean, as good as you can be, I guess. But how's this whole situation been for you?
We've been lucky. The whole family's been out here, and okay. I have had chills though for the last week, and then it got a little bit weird. So I did get the test just yesterday. Went to downtown LA, drove up, hour wait in the car. You finally do it. The swab though, they did the thing through the nose. I didn't want to do that. So they did the swab. I'll find out. But I feel good now. So
okay, good.
I feel really healthy now. So, but so many people going through a tough time, and hope they get rid of this and back to normal soon. I hope.
Well, you take care of yourself. Hopefully you're good. You're in the clear. I'm glad that you're feeling well right now. And maybe we'll get a chance to get you out to some World Team Tennis, hopefully in the near future. And you can jump on with me, and we can commentate a little bit there. Since might as well check another box for you.
That'd be great. Appreciate it.
Vince, thank you so much for coming on with me. Unbelievable pleasure talking to you. If you guys are still hanging out at home during quarantine, make sure you check out 7 Days to Vegas. It is out there. It is on my list to check out too. That's probably getting queued up tonight. So, Vince, thanks again for taking the time to chat with me today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Nick. All right, see you again.
Vince Van Patten. Now, next up with Nick Gismondi. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will have more coming for you. So you stay out there. You keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate you. And a big thank you to all the first responders and everybody watching. So stay healthy. We'll see you next time on Next Up with Nick Gismondi.